Guys and girls, it's Know It Time!
So guys and gals, today your lesson is on extra practice with sine and cos graph. Because really, I taught you everything there is need to know about graphing. Today I'm just going over extra practice with you. That's all we're going to do. Your quiz question that I gave you was this: y equals to -4 cos 2x plus pi minus 3. Okay. First of all, in my notes from yesterday, I mentioned one crucial thing. I even actually put a star and put a bubble beside it. You cannot have a coefficient in front of theta or x inside a bracket. That has never ever happened. It can never happen. So what you're going to do first is you're going to rewrite this question by factoring out 2. So guys and gals, I want you to factor out 2 and put it outside this bracket right there. So if you did this correctly, you should have y equals to -4 cos. My 2 is outside the bracket now. X. Here's where it matters. It's not pi anymore inside the bracket. This is where people are going to make the errors. It's pi by 2. This was 1D in your homework. Oh, the one that you didn't get. Oh. I almost feel somehow responsible for it. I almost feel. I said almost. I don't feel it yet. Okay. So guys and gals, now once you get up to here, we're going to write down amplitude, period, phase shift, and a lot of people ask me what the heck is phase shift, guys. That's for you to figure out. Vertical displacement, VD, and range. Really, the range comes from after you graph, but I asked you because on exams they ask you this sort of thing anyway. Okay, just keep it simple, nothing too bad. Randeep, what's amplitude going to be? 4 is correct. Please do not put -4. It's wrong if you put -4. Period is a bit more tricky. Kieran, what's the period going to be? It's going to be 2 pi over 2, which is equal to pi. That's all we have to do. Okay.
What do you know 2 pi over 2?
2 pi over 2, same thing. I'll give it to you. Jez, Kieran, what's your phase shift? Good. Left pi by 2, but I know in the book they write down -pi by 2, or you can say left pi by 2. Yeah, same thing. You know, potato, that sort of thing. Vertical displacement. Robert, what's your vertical displacement? -3. Or you can say down 3. Again, like I said, the book uses different terminologies. I like to use different terminologies also. Now the range is really hard to get by looking at. For now, let's just draw a rough sketch. So guys, I'm going to show you the do's and don'ts of a cos graph. 30% of you in here can't draw a cos graph. You don't know what it looks like. Seriously. I'm going to show you the common mistake people make for cos graph. Look, this is what they do. They know, they say, Mr. No, I'm starting at pi by 2 left. So this is -pi by 2. So we'll put that -pi by 2. Okay. They say, hey, look, there's a reflection. So they put a dot. Guys, put a dot somewhere here. We'll call that my starting. And here's where mistake that they do. Their cos graph looks like this. This is technically not a cos graph, because this is a U. A cos graph looks something like this. Look what I'm going to draw. I start here. I go slightly to the right, and then up. See? It has a slight curve. It's not a perfect up and down movement. That's the cos graph, not the red bar. So that should be my cos graph. Yep. Some of you drew a cos graph like this. Guys, that's not a cos graph either. Okay? Kid you not, this is not a cos graph. Please, the cos graph, remember, it's a very nice curve. I start here and I go slightly to the right first and I go up. And then I go down slightly to the right. See? It's not a perfect U. It's just a slight curve. Now, here comes the fun part. I label my y-axis. I know this is -3. Okay. Apply the amplitude. Amber Paul, what's the highest point going to be? 1 is correct. Grumpy, what's the lowest point going to be? -7 is correct. See? No tricks. Here is the only trick I am looking for. I always label ending. Ending, here's another mistake people have. They ask me, Mr. No, where's the ending going to be? If I start here, my ending has to be here, because that's when the graph starts to repeat itself. See, this is ending. My ending is this point. And there's a special formula to get ending. -pi/2 plus period, which is pi. That's your ending. -pi/2 plus pi. And which is pi/2. Common denominator. Remember yesterday you didn't do common denominator also. That's the end. Remember? You started a race at 3 p.m. It takes you 1 hour to complete the race.
But that's the formula. So you just add pi.
No, you add period.
Oh, okay, got it.
Okay. And just like you started a race at 3, it takes you 1 hour to complete the race, you'll be at 4. That's why I say when you're stuck, just go back to that little story I've been telling you. Now, the next number I'm really looking for is this halfway right here. So we take -pi/2 plus pi/2 divided by 2, which is 0. Okay. Now, some of you say, hey, Mr. No, it doesn't look like it's 0. This is, like I said, this is just a rough sketch on my part. I just want to see what it looks like.
Just automatically put 0 there.
Right here?
Yeah.
But then your graph, your middle has to go right through right here then.
Ooh, is that incorrect then?
I need this point has to be 0. That's what I'm looking for on the x-axis label. Your center must be 0, your midpoint.
Yeah.
Can you move that line over too then?
Like I said, it's it depends on how you draw your graph. I'm gonna look at your graph.
No, it depends on if like the highest point is still opposite of it.
Yep, that's why. And then guys, gals, use the midpoint formula to get these, but I'm not gonna waste time with this, but you can do it on your own. Okay? 0 plus pi/2 divided by 2. So this one will be pi/4. Okay, and so on, so on. So this is sort of thing I'll be looking for your exam. But that's your review. Here is why you need to know how to graph by heart. This is called working backwards. And this is where your true lesson starts for today. Guys, gals, it's Nova time. Your favorite time of the day. Doot. Doot, doot. Your lesson starts this. I'm going to ask you to work backwards. Create an equation for cos. I'm looking for a cos graph that has the following properties. Good luck. My amplitude is 4. Reflection. The answer will be no reflection. Okay. My period will be.
I don't understand what reflection means.
This means if there's a negative sign or not. My period will be 3 pi. My phase shift will be pi/4. Okay, which is pi/4 is to the right. My vertical displacement will be -2. I'm going to pause it and let you figure out this on your own. What equation has all these properties working backward this time? First, so I know my amplitude is 4. I'm going to go y equals to 4. Now, there's no reflection, so there's no negative sign. Cos. Abraham, what goes in the bracket? Theta
Can it be X?
minus. Yeah, you could use X. Potato, Monica, what's after the bracket? -2. A lot of you got this, but a lot of you say, Mr. No, what the heck goes here? That's where the money comes in, okay? A lot of you are thinking, hey, that's easy, that's 3 pi. But remember, that's not the period. No. This, what goes here is your b value. To figure out your b value, I plug in my formula. Period equals to 2 pi over b. I give you the period. The period is 3 pi. 3 pi equals to 2 pi over b. Guys, you gotta solve for b. Cross multiply. If you cross multiply, you should have b equals to 2 over 3. Now, I erase this b value and put in 2 over 3. Was it that hard? No.
Can you show how the graph looks?
The graph? We know there's a phase shift of pi by 4. I won't have time because it's too much. It takes too long. Yep.
How do you know if there's a GCF attached to
A GCF. What we're talking about GCF.
in the bracket?
Out here? Your b value always goes outside the bracket.
No, like what if you know if you have to factor it though, like to get it out?
How do you know?
Like remember because there was a 2 inside the bracket.
Oh, but your b value should always be outside. If it's in here, you gotta factor it out. Yep. Yep.
How do you know the sign inside the bracket if it's flashing?
Minus, because I have your phase shift is pi by 4 to the right. To the right has to be minus. That's why. Guys, let's try another one. Same concept. I want this sine graph. Sine equation. Okay, with the following properties. Amplitude is 4. Actually, no, I did 4 already. It's too boring. 5. Reflection. X-axis. Yep, there's a reflection x-axis. My period is 5. Your phase shift, nope, just 5. Phase shift is 2 left. Or if some of you may want to be, just put -2 if you want. My vertical displacement, up 6. Create an equation that has all these properties. Again, I'm going to pause it. Alright, I walk around and it looks like most of you got this already. So why? I'm going to do the basics first because a lot of you can do the basic. It's pretty simple, no tricks. Jasmine, y equals to, what is it? Let's hear it. -5, good. Sine. Now I'm going to leave the number blank for a while. Theta. Camille, what goes after theta? X plus 2, good. What goes after the plus sign? Plus 6. Here is where it gets a bit tricky. Again, we're using the b value. So I use my formula. 5 equals to 2 pi over b. And we just cross multiply. And you should have 2 pi over 5. That's it. Very easy. So guys, this has no tricks. Pretty easy stuff. I'm going to crank up the... Huh? How would you graph it? Phase shift left 2. If you want a quick sketch. I'm not going to label, but I just want to show you a rough sketch. I'm starting to the left 2, right? So this is 2. My sign goes here. Nope. So this is 2. Then my period is 5. So what's the ending? Oop, this is -2. So the ending is not 5. 3. That's how I'd label it. And I use the same concept. Except the only difference is there's no pi. It's just basic numbers. The middle, to get the middle, you use the midpoint formula. -2 plus 3. This will be a half. Yep, that's it. So guys, now a lot of people are wondering what's the main difference between sine and cos graph. Let me analyze it, then you're going to analyze this for yourself. Sine versus cos graph. And I'm going to write one thing. let's draw a nice grid. So draw your best sine graph possible. So take a minute and draw a fairly nice large sine graph. Sorry? Just a normal one, no tricks. My sine graph, let's draw a nice one. Goes up, curves, goes down. That's the sine graph. I want you to draw 2 cycles, please. So I'm going to draw this again. Up. And down. So here's 2 cycles of a sine graph. A sine graph, I mentioned to you starts. I want you to put a dot and label your start. A lot of people don't know where the start and the ending is. This is why they're having trouble. On this grid, put a dot as your ending point. Choose a correct dot, please. If my sine starts here, it has to end right here. Right there. So I put a dot and call this my ending point, end. Okay.
But wouldn't that also be your start for your second cycle?
It would. Okay. See, a lot of people make mistakes when they say, so if my sine starts here, I'm ending here. That's not the ending for the sine. As the full definition of sine is, for one cycle, this can't be the ending. It has to reach back to the starting. So this is not correct. Now, here's the sine graph. Let's highlight the sine graph in yellow. If you haven't done, so highlight it in a different color if you have it, because I'm going to show you sine versus cos. Sine graph. Right here. I'm just going to label a few more. This is pi, because we know that. And this right here is 2 pi. Pi by 2. 3 pi by 2. Okay. Sine graph, very basic. Now, here's one thing that a lot of you don't realize. This is actually a cos graph also. A lot of people say, Mr. No, you lie. A cos graph would have to be totally different. A cos graph and a sine graph are the exact same thing. I want you to look at this, choose a starting point for cos graph right now and put a dot as your starting point. Okay. Right here. Because cos has to start either at the highest or lowest position. You can start here if you want to, but then it'll be a negative cos graph. So guys, gals, I'm going to put a dot here. And I'm going to put the dots right here. We're going to call it start. If you're starting there, I want you to put another dot as your ending point for cos. You have to know where it starts and you have to know where it ends. Okay? Start. And if I start there, watch my hand. No. It should end right here. See, look where it's ending. Right there. It starts high, it ends high. It doesn't end in the middle. It ends right here. And we call this my ending. End. And I'm going to highlight this as a different color so you can see. I'm going to do blue. See, this is a cos graph. Right there. That's a cos graph right there. So I'm going to write this down. The main difference between sine and cos is the phase shift. That's the main difference. The main difference between a sine and cos graph is the phase shift. Amplitude, period, all that stays the same. Only difference really is the phase shift. You can choose where you want to start from. I can start from here, and I have a negative cos graph. Here's the reason why we're going to do this.
Michelle, can you move your screen?
To where?
Like your real screen?
Oh, my real screen? There we go. Turn to your homework that I assigned number 2, please. I'm going to show you how to do number 2 right now. Take a look at 2A. So we are working on this graph right here. I'm going to work with this graph with you, and you're going to see it. So this is 2a, and I'm going to help you out on how to do 2a. I'm going to just cut.
The scaling that the graph people use was so stupid.
I'm going to make it a bit bigger for you guys to see.
I found that.
The scaling,
Yeah.
they scale it so weirdly. Like, how's that pi?
So guys, look at 2a. Your graph looks like this. It asks you find a sine and cos equation to create this. Now a lot of you have I don't know where to start, so I'm going to show the trick. The key to creating any equation, first of all, is to find your vertical line, vertical displacement right now. Draw in your center line. Just me, question. Draw in your center line right now. Look at 2a. This graph. So take a pen, a different color pen helps. Use red or blue. It helps for this one. I'm going to use red. The key to doing all equation is the center line. So my center line, would you agree, is right here. That's my center line right here. This is the key. The key to working with everything is the center line. Once you have the center line, write in your vertical displacement right now. Vertical displacement really is -1. Once you have your vertical displacement, you can tell me your amplitude easily, which is 1, 2. Here comes the tricky part. I want you to choose either a sine graph or cos graph to work with right now. Sine. Because a lot of you say sine. If you choose a sine graph, I want you to put a dot anywhere on here to tell me where your sine graph starts from. Anywhere you want. Where does your sine graph start from? Right here? Okay, so put a dot. A lot of people make mistakes because they don't put dots. So I'm going to put a dot here, and I'm going to label sine. Yep, start. You have to do both sine and cos. Sine starts there. I want you to tell me where sine ends right now. If I'm starting here, I want you to put a dot as the ending. It goes right here. Would you agree? Okay, put a dot right there. This is where my sine ends. You have to have a dot. Sine ends here. So far, so good. Okay, no tricks. If my sine starts there, tell me what your phase shift is.
Nothing.
0. So write in 0. Because it's a 0. Okay? It all depends where you want to start. The only difference is really phase shift change. Now, I want you to tell me, is there a reflection? Nope. So write in no. Reflection is no. And now, I want you to find the period. This is a bit more tricky. Period is given, it is 2 pi. But there's a way to get period if it's not so easy to. You take your end point minus your starting point. So let's write this down. Period. End point minus starting. And this will give you a period. Okay. Which is 2 pi. Guys and gals, create a sine equation that has all these properties right now. Go for it. Create an equation that has all this property. Okay, I'm going to pause. If I put everything together, you should have y equals to sine 2. I'm missing the 2 there because there's amplitude is 2. Theta. Now since my b value is just 1, my vertical displacement is -1. Is it that hard? Pretty easy. And the only difference was I put in these 2 dots to show me where my start and my ending. People don't do that, and that's where they make mistakes. But guys, gals, remember, you have to do sine and cos. Now, you're going to do a cos graph. Everything stays the same for a cos graph. Only thing that is different is where you want to start from. You choose. So right here, I want you to put a dot right there, and I want you labels. See that people don't do this, and they get missed. I want you to say cos starts here. We're doing cos graph now. Cos starts here. Okay, cos starts there. I want you to put an ending point for cos. If I start there, I have to end right here. That's where my cos ends. Cos ends here. Now, here's where a lot of kids are having trouble with. They say, Mr. No, what are these little lines? I'm going to show the trick to calculate these lines right here. You're going to count how many lines make up pi. 1, 2, 3, 4. Would you agree? Yep. There are 4 lines. So each line will be broken down into pi by 4. So that's pi by 4. That's 2 pi by 4. Which is pi by, and this is 3 pi by 4. If there's 6 lines, each line is pi by 6. That's the key. So let's write this down again. Everything stays the same. My vertical displacement is the same thing. Vertical displacement, -1. Same as the sine graph. Amplitude is 2. Be careful now. Your phase shift. Where are you starting from?
Negative pi by 2.
Negative pi by 2. See, that's where you're starting from. So write down phase shift is negative pi by 2. There's a reflection this time. Reflection. The reflection is just, yes, over the x-axis. And my period is the same as the previous question, which is 2 pi. It hasn't changed. Guys and gals, create a cos graph with this property. Okay.
You mean a cos equation?
Yep. Sorry, cos equation. And you can mix them all together. So you should have y equals to -2 cos theta plus pi by 2 minus 1. Compare my sine and cos. The equation is almost identical to each other except for the phase shift. Yep. Now, some of you will look at this and say, Mr. No, this answer is not in the back. Remember, you can choose anywhere you want to start for cos graph. So there's a lot of different answers for this. Just because you don't have this answer in the back, it doesn't mean it's wrong. Guys, gals, I want you to try 2b in your own. And then after this, I'm going to do one more question. So 2b is this graph right here. Choose a starting point. A lot of kids don't choose the starting point. That's where they're making errors. Okay. So you're working with 2b now. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to go on to your last question for today. Here's 2b. I'm going to make it a bit bigger so you guys can see it. The key is start with a center line. And then tell me where does the sign start from? Where does it end? And just fill in your chart slowly. So I'm going to pause it. So guys, first thing I always like to draw my center line. That's the key to solving everything. My center line is going to be right here. And just chop it up. Okay, that's my center line. So I'm going to write down just the basic information first. Vertical displacement, VD. Giselle, what's your vertical displacement? 1 is correct. Amplitude. Amp is 1, 2, 3. We know that's going to be the same for every graph, sine and cos. That's the main thing. Choose a starting point for sine. If you want, you can start sine right here if you want. You can start sine right here. Right here. There's so many different starting places. I'm going to choose an easy location right there. I'm going to write down sine starts here. Sine starts. I'm going to put an endpoint right here. Sine ends here. That's where my sine ends. So right off the bat, remember, you're going to need this formula. Period. You take your endpoint, which is pi, minus your starting. So your period is just simply pi. This is going to be a crucial formula. Learn it. Okay. My phase shift will be 0 because really there's nothing. Put everything together and you have your key. Y equals to 3 sine 2 theta plus 1. That's it. What? Question. Where did this 2 come from? Just a b value. Because my period is pi. You got to figure out what is b value to get pi.
Is there no question? So
Yep.
you always have to check for a b value?
B value you have to. Because your b value is what determines your period. Okay? So the period doesn't go here. It's a b value that goes here. Guys, gals, now I want you to create your cos equation. I'm going to pause it again. So I can put my cos graph right here. Up there. And I can say cos starts here. Cos starts right there. Cos ends right here. This is where my cos ends. Everything stays the same. Only the phase shift changes. So your equation, y equals to 3 cos 2 theta minus pi by 4 plus 1. See? I don't have to calculate everything else because I did it already. It's done. Guys, gals, that is how you do question number 2. Here is where the challenging part kicks in. I won't give you this graph. I'm going to give you the basics of this graph in words. You're going to figure out the equation, and this is as hard as it gets. Good luck. Give me 1 second. Okay. Here is the level where you got to work at. Put a star beside this question. Every single exam, every single test, doesn't matter what school you go to, they always give you one question like this. They say, create a sine and, notice I'm using the word and cos equation. You're going to do 2 things. Now, I'm going to take away the graph. I'm going to give you the basics of this. It says this. Minimum point is going to be at pi by 4, comma, negative 4. Nearest max to the right at 3 pi by 2, sorry, 3 pi by 4, comma, let's give you 6. Find the equation. Sorry? 3 pi by 4. That's where the max is going to be. And 6. Your task is to create an equation, sine and cos. I'm going to pause it, give you about 2 1. So guys, gals, the best way to do this is draw a rough sketch right now. Let's draw a rough sketch. Draw a grid for me, please. Just a simple grid. It says minimum point is at pi by 4, negative 4. So take a guess where pi by 4 is. I'm going to choose right here. We'll call it pi by 4. Put in pi by 4 for me. Okay, I'm just guessing. Negative 4. Choose a point. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4. This point is negative 4. Like I said, it makes no difference. Put a dot right there. Okay. So here's negative 4. Pi by 4, negative 4. Now, it says there's a maximum point to the right. 3 pi by 4 and 6. So take a guess where 3 pi by 4 is. 3 pi by 4 is going to be right about here somewhere. Just a wild guess. Okay. And I want you to put a dot at 6 for me, please. Take a guess. It doesn't have to be accurate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right about here. Okay. That's the only 2 information I'm given. Yep. Nope. Because these are coordinates. Okay. 3 pi by 4 and 6 is right here. Okay. So this is the lowest. This is the highest. the graph can only go from low to high. So guys, draw a nice sketch. Low, all the way to high. What do you think is going to happen once it hits high? Goes back down, so continue on the graph. Hey, look what shape it is. It's a cos graph. Okay, now, remember the key is always start with the center line. This is -4, this is 6. I always start with the center line. Tell me my vertical displacement. Okay, so find halfway between 6 and -4, which is 1. And I like to draw in my vertical right here. That's my vertical displacement. Always draw it in. It helps you out. See? Keep it simple. This is a 1. Fill in 1 right now. Amplitude is 5. This is the reason why we always draw my center line first. Phase shift. Before you start, let's do a cos graph first. Would you agree cos starts right here? So let's write down cos starts here. Cos starts. So write down my phase shift. Pi by 4. See? And look at this. There's a reflection. Reflection. Yes. The tough part now is calculating the period. How do you know what your period is going to be? I'm going to show you the trick to do this. To calculate period, it's the distance from here to here. But I don't know my endpoint. I only know halfway. So let's take 3 pi by 4 minus pi by 4. Because remember, we want to find the distance from here to here. So let's do this. Period is 3 pi by 4 minus pi by 4. Which is 2 pi by 4, which is, would you agree? Pi by 2. But is that period or is that... See, this is only halfway. See, that's only halfway. So what's your true period going to be then? Pi. Because when I subtract halfway to the starting, I get pi by 2. So your period is going to be this times 2. So your period is pi. That's the trick you got to be careful about. See, I'm going to explain this again. I only know halfway. So take halfway minus my starting. That gives me pi by 2. So multiply by 2 to get the full period. So guys and gals, I have everything. Create a cos graph for this now. Oh, sorry, create a cos equation. So you have vertical displacement, amplitude, period is your pi. Reflection, everything is there. Create a cos equation. So you have y equals to -5 cos 2 theta minus pi by 4 plus 1. We're not done yet. The graph also asks us to create a sine equation. Sine. We know sine is everything almost stays the same. Only thing is a phase shift. I want you to look at this graph right now. Put a dot where sine starts from. Put a dot right there, wherever you think sine starts from. Sine starts right here. I'm going to put a dot right here. Dot. And we're going to write in sine starts here. The only problem is, what the heck is this coordinate?
2 pi.
Would you agree it's halfway? So use the halfway formula to calculate this. So to figure out what this box is, you need a halfway formula. Take pi by 4 plus 3 pi by 4 divided by 2. So which is pi by 2, I believe? Pi by 2. Yep. And this is a positive sine graph. So merge everything together now. So you have y equals to, I don't need to look at anything else, 5 sine 2. Everything stays the same except for my reflection, my phase shift. Minus pi by 2 plus 1. Hey, you're done. I only need 2 points on a graph, and I draw out the rest to figure out everything there is. A lot of you will have trouble with period, but look what I did. I take my halfway point minus my starting, but I gotta multiply that by 2 because this is only half a period, and the rest is based on midpoint formulas. Guys, gals, your work, everything on page 70. Fair game for tomorrow's quiz. page 70. All of it. You should be able to do all of it now. There's, yep. If you're lost on number 4 is the most important. I advise you to come after school today because number 4 will be tough if you're at home by yourself studying. And that ends our lesson for today.